Hello everyone, this is the last video this week, and in this video I will discuss difficulties of applying the duration model. I will be very brief in explaining these points. Critics of the duration model have often claimed that it is difficult to apply in real-world situations. However, we will discuss shortly that duration measures and immunization strategies are useful in most real-world situations. In fact, the model used by APRA to monitor bank interest rate risk taking is heavily based on this duration model. Okay, so the first problem of applying the duration model is the duration matching can be costly. Well, the critics charge that although in principle and financial institution manager can change duration of asset portfolio and duration of liability portfolio to better immunize the financial institution against interest rate risk, restructuring the balance sheet of a large complex financial institution can be both time consuming and costly. Well, these arguments could be true historically, however may not be true now. The growth of purchased fund, asset securitization, and loan sales market have considerably eased the speed and lowered the transaction costs of major balance sheet restructuring. That's why the application of the duration model and the restructuring of the balance sheet may not be that expensive nowadays that it used to be historically. The next one, people argue that the application of the duration is problematic because immunization is a dynamic problem. Well, in the last video, we have seen that by calculating the duration, a financial institution can immunize their portfolio. Immunization means they restructure their asset and portfolio in such a way so that the asset portfolio and the liability portfolio will have the duration to an extent that the change in interest rate will have no effect on the change in equity. However, to be precise, this should be an instantaneous change in interest rate will not have any impact on the equity, I mean the net worth. The word instantaneous is important here. So if we take an immunization strategy and restructure the asset and liability portfolio in such a way, it means that if there is an instant or there is an immediate change in interest rate, well, we are immunized against that. The asset and liability portfolio have been restructured in such a way so that the interest rate change will not have any impact on the equity. However, interest rate can change anytime, not necessarily only immediately. For example, if you immunize a loan and a deposit portfolio and keep them in a drawer, and if you just open them up after 6 months, you may not be immunized anymore, because as the time changes, the duration changes, so is the immunization of the asset and liability portfolio. So as you immunize your portfolio today, you are immunized against an immediate change in interest rate, but not immunized against a change in interest rate maybe after 1 month, 3 months, or after 6 months. And last of all is the less accurate measure of interest rate sensitivity when interest rate change is much larger. So technically, when interest rate change is small, for example, let's say 1 basis point. 1 basis point means the 1 of 100%, 1 of 100th of 1% change is a 1 basis point change. So if interest rate changes 1 basis point, then this duration model can accurately predict or accurately calculate the change in price. However, if interest rate changes is large, for example, 1% or 2%, that means 100 basis point or 200 basis point, then this duration model cannot very accurately calculate the change in interest rates effect on the change in equity value. So that's a problematic area of the application of the duration model. So that's the end of our discussion this week. Thank you very much.